live. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Good to see you. It's Wednesday, 8 o'clock here in Spain, and Lynn and I are here to help you with your English. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. And hopefully we'll be able to improve your English level. My name's Craig. If this is the first time you're watching, I'm from the website mansioningles.com, where you can find free resources to help you with your English, lots of courses and other material. And with me over there is my good friend Lynn, who's joining us this week.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing? How was your Easter?
Oh, I had a wonderful Easter because the weather was really nice here in Spain, finally, because it's been horrible weather for the last 2 months.
It has.
And we had this really lovely weekend, and it was lovely weather, and we were able to sit outside, and it was more like the weather you expect in April.
It was fantastic.
Except today it's gone back again to being
today
cold
it's been
and rainy.
I know, but hopefully it won't last long. So
right.
if people are watching for the first time, Lynn, can you say a couple of sentences about putitlikethis.com? What can they find there?
Of course. Putitlikethis.com is my website for my small business. And I'm practically an online teacher exclusively now, although occasionally I do some seminars, but an online teacher. And I specialize in creating tailor-made courses for people. So if people have a specific objective that they want to achieve in English, it could be an exam, or it could be a presentation, or maybe they have to write an article or something very specific like that, or make a business presentation, then I create a course specifically for that purpose to help them to achieve that objective. So if you go to my website at putitlikethis.com, you can find lots more information about the types of courses that I offer and the things that I do there.
Fantastic. Okay, we can see people joining us already. So let's say hi to Gemma. How are you doing? Francesca.
Oh, hi. Hi, Gemma. Hi, Francisca.
Jose Antonio, hello. How are you doing? Pilar,
hello.
Good to see you. Isabel is here, and Montse from Mallorca, where I was just before Easter. I had a fantastic time, Montse, in Puerto de next to Alcudia, de Pollença, on the northeast side of the island. It was absolutely beautiful, but the weather was not very nice. But it didn't matter because I had a lovely time over in Mallorca. Anyway,
did you fly over there, or did you get the ferry?
I flew.
Okay.
I did. Yep, I did fly over there. Oh, that's better. I was finding the right windows. Yeah, we flew. I flew over there and met some friends from the UK. So there were 8
lovely
men from Essex in Mallorca.
Oh God!
Just imagine the things we got up to in the lovely port city of Puerto de Pollença.
Wow, you kept that quiet, Craig. You never told me about that.
It was just 3 days away. Anyway, let's look at what we're looking at today and what we're going to help you with, because people who watch every week, regular viewers, might remember that 2 weeks ago, the last time Lynn was here with me, we spoke about some possessions and things that were very dear to us that we could not throw away, that we could not get rid of. And we're going to continue today with some more things that were on our list, but we didn't get time to tell you about them.
That's because we obviously have so many things that we are loath to part with. Remember now, if you were here with us a couple of weeks ago, we had quite a lot of alternative vocabulary for that. I just said we are loath to part with them, which means that we really don't like getting rid of them. Another word for loath to part with, another way of saying it, is we can't bear to part with, or we can't stand to part with. We don't like the idea of getting rid of the things. And that was some of the vocabulary, wasn't it, from last time, which Craig has just put in the banner there. So there's a few phrasal verbs: to throw away things, to chuck out things, to get rid of things, to give up things, to give things away, give things away. You have to separate that one. To do without things. They're all things, that's all verbs, which means to throw away. And then if you do without something, it means that you can continue living without that thing. We also had the word secret stash and hoarder. Craig, do you want to explain those ones?
Yeah, a secret stash. I have a fantastic example for that. I love eating chocolate, as listeners to the podcast very well know. And I have a secret stash. Now, don't tell anybody. Keep this, Lynn, between just the two of us
and the whole world
and the whole of the internet. But my secret stash of chocolate is in my sock drawer behind my socks. I have a secret stash for when I'm feeling a bit down, a bit miserable, not very happy. I go to my secret stash of chocolate and I have a small piece of dark chocolate in my sock drawer.
I'll have to ask your wife which drawer is the sock drawer next time.
No, it's secret. So that's why it's a secret stash. So when you stash something, you keep it in a particular place away from the world or away from everybody else.
It's a secret hiding place, isn't it? It's a secret hiding place.
Exactly. Now, the verb to hoard and the noun a hoarder, to hoard is to just keep things even though you don't really need them. So just keeping things for the sake of it, just because you like keeping it. And that could be a problem. There's a TV program called Hoarders. I think it's out of America. And you get the houses are just completely full
of stuff
to the ceiling, from the floor to the ceiling, full of rubbish, really. They hoard things. They can't get rid of these things. They can't throw them away. So that's the definition of a hoarder.
And some people also started to become hoarders during the pandemic. Can you remember when people were buying lots of toilet paper?
Yes, they were hoarding toilet paper.
They were hoarding toilet paper. They were buying far more than they needed, and they were hoarding it. They were keeping it in a secret stash at home because they were worried that they wouldn't have any more toilet paper.
Yep, exactly. Some more people are joining us. Maria Dolores is here. Just say a quick hello to the newcomers. Heidi, good to see you again.
Hi, Heidi.
And
Norma's back.
And Anna, I recorded a video for you today before it started raining. I don't know if you saw it on the Facebook page, but thank you for your question. Anna had a question about the pay gap, the gender gap between men and women. So I hope that will help you. And let's go to our first object. I think it's me first, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you. Go ahead.
So one thing that I have kept, and I am, 1 second.
Oh, looks like he's gone to his sock drawer to get his secret hoard of chocolate. Or I think he's just answering the phone. I don't know. Okay, in the meantime as well, I see that we have Neida Cagnone from Venezuela. Hi, Neida. Neida. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I was thinking you just left me there completely on my own.
I apologize. The reason is my phone's been ringing. I always disconnect my phone.
Oh.
The landline phone.
Oh, I see.
And just today, when I didn't disconnect it, it started ringing 2 or 3 times. And that's why I kept muting my microphone.
I told everybody you'd gone to your sock drawer for your secret chocolate. Now that we know where you can go.
That happens after. So I apologize. Yeah, that's why this is live and these things happen. Anyway, this is something that I cannot throw away. It's my first video camera.
Oh, I've got one of those.
It's very old.
Still got it as well. Yeah.
It was my first one. And if you remember, obviously, if you're young, you won't remember these mini DV tapes.
Yeah, I've got those as well.
So I kept this camera and I've got quite a few of these tapes, and I probably will never use the footage, which is the things that I recorded on a videotape. I'll never use the content on this tape, but I just can't throw it away. Every time I think, oh, this is so old, I need to throw it away. I'm sentimentally attached to it because it was the first camera that I shot video with.
Video, and
Exactly the same idea. This is my first microphone that I used to record conversations for the Mansion de l'Ingles. And
oh
at the
wow.
time, this was quite expensive. Obviously,
Mhm.
now it's a very bad quality microphone. It goes into the computer with this plug, which
Yeah,
gets very
which is
noisy.
yeah.
But yeah, old video camera with tapes and old technology is something that I find quite difficult to throw away, even if I don't use it because of sentimental value.
Yeah. Well, I
So it's
know that in one
sentimental.
of the cupboards behind me, we also have the video camera and I have the tapes. And it was because we used the video camera 20 years ago, and it's got all the footage of the children when my children were born. So all of them taking their first steps and everything like this. And we used to transfer the video tape that you have. We used to create VHS tapes, which were bigger, and we would send them to our families. And of course, now the VHS technology is gone as well. Nobody uses the videotapes. So in one of those cupboards at the back, I have a huge box, and it's full of the little camera tapes and the VHS tapes and the video camera and the video recorder. And then I said to my husband, I said, you know, we have to do something with this, because when that video recorder breaks, we've lost everything.
You can't see it. Exactly.
No.
Yeah,
So my husband found a company online, and he sent it all to this company, and they digitalized it so that we now have the footage on the PC.
Good.
But I'm still hoarding the tapes. I couldn't
still
bring
got the
myself to
tapes?
throw them away.
Yeah.
So
you
they're
are
still all there.
with some
Yeah.
things. You are a hoarder. Then
Yes, I am.
for
I'd forgotten
sentimental
that I was
reasons.
hoarding that. I never go in the cupboard.
And
but
if you
we do
if
still
you're
have it.
if you're watching live and you have similar things that you can't throw away, that you can't get rid of, please write in the chat and let us know. Put in the comments any possessions that you find it very difficult to get rid of. Let's go to your first one, Lynn. What's your first object?
Well, this is not even useful. This thing that I'm going to show you is really stupid. You see this? This is a vintage stamper.
I like it.
But it's beautiful, isn't it? It is pretty. And I saw this on a flea market. A flea market is one of those second-hand markets that you go to on a Sunday morning, and people put out all sorts of rubbish that they try to sell, the stuff that they want to get rid of. And I've had this 20 years, and I bought this from a flea market in Germany. It's extremely heavy. I mean, I always thought it could actually be a good weapon. If I ever needed to defend myself. I'm sure that I could kill somebody with it, because it's cast iron. It's really heavy. And you can see here that it's got a metal stamp. And if you put ink on it underneath, which I have tried to do with a Q-tip, and then you stamp it, you can see that it belonged to a very old German company. And they obviously used to stamp their papers with it. I have no idea which company it was, but they stamped the papers with it. And it was very official. And I don't know, it was just, this is something that I would say is quirky. Do you know the word quirky, Craig?
Yes.
How would you describe the word quirky? That it's
unusually charming. It's charming in an unusual way.
Yeah, that's a nice one. So it's charming in an unusual way. And first of all, I just like it because I think, wow, look at that mechanics of it, because it was so mechanical. Yeah. And then, of course, it is pretty, because it's got a very pretty decoration. And so I kind of have it on my desk as a sort of decorative object. But it's something, but it's something that actually is quite old-fashioned. And, you know, when we did this, when we were choosing these objects and I was looking around for things that I can't bear to part with, I did look at this. And actually, I am going to give this to somebody that I know who might be watching tonight. If my sister-in-law, Maria, is watching, my sister-in-law, Maria, she has a specialist stationery store in
Oh,
Salamanca.
yes. Right.
And actually, when I looked at this, I thought the perfect place for this vintage
In the window.
stamper is in her window of her specialist stationery store.
It's got
So
character.
and so if she's watching, Maria, I'm going to give this to you. Because it's such a shame for it just to be on my desk. It's just useless. But it's actually, there is a place where people could admire it.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to give it to Maria. I've decided. Maybe
Fantastic.
she doesn't want it. I don't know.
Kike's asking about flea market. Not quite sure what that is. And as Anna correctly writes, it's rastrillo or rastro, I think, as well.
If Kike is Spanish, I don't know if Kike's Spanish. Would he
It's a
understand
Spanish
that?
name. Are you Spanish,
Is it?
Kike? Do you understand rastro or rastrillo? It's very difficult for me to pronounce.
Rastrillo.
Wow.
It's a second-hand market, and usually people sell clothes or strange objects, old pottery, things like that.
Graciella's saying she doesn't find it difficult to get rid of things that are not useful anymore. Well done, Graciela. You're very, very. Do you realize how lucky you are?
She is, because there's nothing useful about that. You need to come to my house, Graciela. You can help me clear everything out.
My house too. I have a very small flat and it's full of things I need to get rid of. And Kike is very Spanish.
Oh,
so
well, then there you are.
Very, very Spanish. Moving on, my next one is also sentimental as before. And it is, oh, here we are. This, which is my dad's walking stick.
A walking stick.
Yeah. So unfortunately, my dad is no longer with me. He passed away 3 years ago. And the last few years of his life, he needed a walking stick. And for years, he was very stubborn, my dad. And for years, he fought against using a walking stick. Obviously, he didn't want to appear weak. And eventually, he realized that he needed help walking around. So he got this walking stick. And it just characterized my dad. And it reminded me of my dad. So when my dad passed away, which is another way of saying he died, that phrasal verb to pass away sounds better than die. So when he passed away, obviously we had to get rid of nearly everything he had. But I kept one or two things. And one of the things I kept was this walking stick because it jogs my memory. I don't want to forget my dad. I loved him very much. And it's something that reminds me of him. And also probably one day I will need a walking stick.
You might use it as well.
And it will be passed down through the generations. And I'll be using my dad's walking stick possibly when I get older.
And where do you keep it? Can you see it every day where you're working? Is it in your office?
It hangs. No, it's not in my office. It hangs on my bedroom door, on the handle of the door. I just hang it on there. And the bedroom door is always sort of open in the flat. They're sliding. They slide open. And I just hang it on the door. And it just, I see it every day. Yeah.
That's nice. And it jogs your memory. It makes your dad more present for you, doesn't he? Through the stick.
It reminds me of him.
Yeah.
So
and Anna says you can use it as a weapon too, but that is not as effective as this. Believe me, if you guys could hold this would kill you.
Lynne. You have to get close to use that. You don't.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Stick's longer, you see. And also, if I get
you can pull somebody. Yeah.
Your turn. It's up to you.
My turn. Well, this is a fascinating object. And again, it's something that's totally useless, right? Totally useless. But this thing, now, I've got to explain this. This is a leather case, right? And in this, and it's very old. You can see that the leather has actually, it's like coming undone, right? And this thing is very, very old. Now, I don't know exactly how old it is, but I know that it is at least from pre-1938.
Wow, it's an antique.
Right? So it's nearly 100, maybe like, well, not quite 180 years old, right?
I think it's 50 years though, isn't it? An antique? 50 years
Oh,
or more?
I don't know. Is
So.
something an antique if it's more than 50? Oh God, that
Well,
makes me an antique.
me too. But you carry on describing it, and
That's all
I'll check that
great.
because I'm not
It's
sure.
not 80 years. No. So this thing is a very weird thing. And I don't know if anybody watching knows what this thing actually is. Any idea what that is or what it's used for? Do you know what that's used for?
It is 100 years.
It's
It is 100
100 years
years.
old. I'm
Yeah.
not an antique. I'm a
Not
spring
yet.
chicken.
No,
I'm a
we're not.
spring chicken still, right? So, so does anybody watching know what this is for? Do you know what that's for, Craig?
Yeah.
Oh, do
I know.
you?
Yeah. My wife
Oh,
has one.
seriously?
She
Oh,
does.
wow.
It's not as old and as nice as yours, but she has one.
Well, yeah, to measure little things, Anna says. Well, it does. And in actual fact, it's called calipers, right? And well done, Anna. Yeah. And it actually measures the inside diameters of like pipes. So if you have a pipe
Or a glass. You could do a glass.
or a
couldn't you?
glass, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. So
Or the
so you put it like
circumference.
that, and then it tells you on here, you can't see here, but it's got lots of little measurements. But it also has lots of calculations on it as well. And it's a slide rule. So it has all the old mathematical calculations that nowadays everybody just does on the computer or the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
But this has it all in inches, in centimeters, in millimeters. There's a conversion table here and everything. And it's metal. And the reason, well, it's got a big story behind it. And that's why I keep it. I keep this because of the story. So should I tell you the story?
Yes, I'm dying to hear the story.
You're dying to hear the
Because
story.
I think it's going to be fascinating and intriguing.
Oh, good. Well, the thing is, I find this object fascinating and intriguing. So, my godfather. Do you know what a godfather is? Godfather is
Padrino.
padrino in Spanish. If anybody's not Spanish watching, that's when you're born. If you're from a Christian religion, I think it's in the Christian religion only, isn't it? Godfathers, and basically, your parents say to people who are supposed to, there's a church ceremony in your baptism, and they become your godparents, and basically their function is that if anything happens to your parents, they promise to look after you, really. Mm-hmm. Right? There is another function inside the church. They're supposed to teach you certain Christian elements of the faith, but the basic function is people have godparents in case anything happens to their parents, and then they know that their children will be looked after. And my godparents was my father's best friend, and he was my Uncle Jimmy, and my Uncle Jimmy passed away probably about, I think it's about 10, 12 years ago now. Yeah. And this, my Uncle Jimmy, during the Second World War, he was older than my father. And so he was actually active in the Second World War. And he was an engineer on a ship, and he was in the Atlantic. And at some point, he was in Canada, and they had caught a German ship. How they had caught the German ship, I don't know. I don't know if my uncle was involved in the capture. I don't know whether how the ship was captured, but there was a German warship that was captured, and it was in Canada, and my uncle was there. And the Allied soldiers went onto the ship, and they stripped the ship for metal, for goods, weapons, everything. And it was all, of course, put back into the war effort. And I believe, I'm sorry, Uncle Jimmy, if I'm saying something wrong, but I believe my Uncle Jimmy sneaked this out and stole it. and on this thing, because my Uncle Jimmy was an engineer, and of course this was an extremely precision instrument, and in 1940 this must have cost a fortune. It must have been a very, very expensive implement. And the German engineer it belonged to has his name engraved here.
Oh, wow.
And the name says G. Brown, right? That's all. So it's the initial G and then Brown.
Got a typically German name.
Brown, yes.
Not
B-R-A-U-N.
Oh, like more like Braun. Like not
Yes,
BR.
but in German it's pronounced Brown.
Okay.
Right? G. Brown. And my uncle obviously took this, and then he worked in England, and then he put his name on the other side. He engraved his name on the other side. So my uncle's name's on this. And my uncle gave this to my father. He didn't give it to me. He gave it to my father. And when I went to live in Germany, my father was making ready to emigrate to New Zealand, and my father had this massive workshop with lots of tools in, and he had to get rid of it all. We actually made a flea market, and we sold lots of my father's tools before he emigrated to New Zealand. But he said to me, because you're in Germany, this tool belongs in Germany, so I'm going to give it to you. And I said, Dad, what will I use that for? And he said, it's a fantastic tool to measure the inside of pipes. So I said, all right, Dad, I'll take it. And it's been with me ever since.
Wow.
But I think it's fascinating because the story, can you imagine you could write a movie, couldn't you? You could make up a story about the soldier G. Braun on the ship. We don't know what happened to him. I hope nothing terribly bad, but you don't know what happened to him. You don't know who he was, where he came from. And my uncle, I actually don't know the story of the ship. How was the ship captured? How was the ship in Canada? Why was my uncle in Canada? I don't know. Yeah. So I think this has got so much history behind it, but it's as complicated as the tool itself. I have no way of understanding the tool or the story.
That is fascinating, because in those kind of situations during a war, you often hear of people taking maybe a pistol as a souvenir, or a knife, or a helmet, or some military medal, or some souvenir from the enemy. But I've never heard that
he took the calipers. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So yeah. So it's got a story. So, you know, I know it's useless, but can you throw that away?
No. It's sentimental value.
Yeah,
sentimental
I can't.
value.
So it's got to stay with me, I'm afraid.
It's like we said 2 weeks ago, when you hold something in your hand, like Marie Kondo says, if something gives you joy, or if something has an emotional significance or a use, then you can't throw it away. The problem with hoarders is they keep everything, whether it's useful or whether it has sentimental value or not. They just keep everything. But something like that, even though it's not practical, it has value because of the story behind it, and because of the history of it.
But don't you get frustrated? I'm so frustrated, you know, that I never asked my father more information, and I never asked my uncle for more information. And both of them have passed on now, my father and my uncle. Yeah. And so I haven't, and I don't know, I think, oh, why didn't I find out more at the time? You know, I was just sort of too young, and my dad was trying to give me this, and I was like, oh God, yes, give it to me. I'll go to Germany. You know, I was so impatient, but now I'm so eager to know what was the story behind those. Yeah. And I don't know. Never mind.
Okay. Well, I don't know how I can follow that, really. I mean, how can I follow such a wonderful story? So fascinating and intriguing. I think my next object has possibly a similar age. This knife belonged to my... What?
That wasn't stolen from the enemy, was it?
Wasn't stolen from the enemy during the war,
No.
but it did belong to my grandmother,
Oh,
and my
wow.
grandmother used it. Now, I don't remember my grandmother using it. As you can see, it's very old. It's been
Hmm.
sharpened so many times that it's almost
It's lost
lost
its shape, hasn't
its
it?
blade. This is the
Hmm.
blade. The blade cuts things. And I do remember my mum using it. So it's my mum's kitchen knife. And when I grew up in the UK, this was the knife that she used to peel potatoes and cut the vegetables and cut the chicken or whatever. So I just remember this being in my mum's hands for so many years growing up. And this was the knife that was always in the kitchen, on the table, to peel an apple, to cut fruit. So when my mum passed away, and my mum passed away a couple of years before my dad, so like 5 years ago now, we did the same thing. We took my parents' clothes and possessions to a flea market
Hmm.
because we just didn't have room to keep them
Yeah,
all.
you can't
So
keep
when
them
they
the
passed
household,
away,
can you?
we
Hmm.
sold their things at a flea market. But I just kept this as a reminder of my mum because, and we
Hmm.
use it every day. So not only does it have sentimental value, but it's also practical.
Uh-huh.
And when we sharpen the other knives in the kitchen, we always sharpen this. And I just hope it lasts a few more
I
years because
think
it's
it
very, very
probably
old.
will, because to be honest with you now, I notice that it's funny that my parents had knives that they kept all their lives, but I have knives now with like plastic handles, and
Mhm.
eventually the plastic handles break. But
Yeah.
those old knives, they last and last and last for a long,
Yeah,
long
this is,
time.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's been in the dishwasher. So it used to be
Uh-huh.
shiny. It used to be
Yeah, probably
shiny.
you've spoilt the wood by
And the
putting it in the
wood,
dishwasher.
yeah, the wood
Hmm.
is losing its finish. It's
Uh-huh.
losing its, but anyway, it's still, we
Yeah.
still use
Uh-huh.
it. So
Uh-huh. Anna Laura says we had one just like it, and it was her mother's favorite too.
yeah,
How strange, yeah. Uh-huh.
it's a nice size. It's just the perfect size for potatoes and apples and
Yeah.
peeling an
Yeah.
orange. It's just nice
Hmm.
and small. Yeah.
And Anna says that her mother has a sewing machine. Sewing, sewing. Sew is the verb, right? So if you're making a noun, or adjective before the noun, sewing machine. From your grandmother, a Singer sewing machine. She doesn't use it, but she keeps it for a sense of nostalgia. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
But actually, those old sewing machines are also very attractive. I've seen those old, if it's the one that I think it is, it's a black one and it has like a gold pattern on it, and it's on a nice little table, which is like a trestle table, because
Yeah.
they had to pump it because it's not an electric one, and they are actually very decorative. I've seen those in people's
Yeah. Very
houses.
pretty. Yeah.
They're very, very pretty. Sometimes people put plants on them. I've
Mhm.
actually seen them with the machine has been removed, but the old trestle table is
Mhm.
kept as a piece of furniture.
Yeah. They're very
Yeah,
attractive.
yeah, it's very
Francisca
nice.
says that the tool which were your calipers seem
Uh-huh.
like the one doctors use to measure body fat.
Oh God.
Oh, well, I have. Yeah.
That sounds, it looks quite, it's actually very pointy. Pointy means that it has a very sharp,
Point.
these points are very, very sharp. So I doubt the doctors would use that one. Maybe this one. That could be. You could measure like sort of your wrist, I suppose, with that, couldn't you? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But this side is extremely sharp. Yeah. Okay. My
Oh,
turn now,
my,
yeah?
before
Or have you
before
got another
your
one?
before no,
Mhm.
I just wanted to say that the word I had for that knife was heirloom, which is a word you
Ah,
may not
uh-huh.
have come across, may not have seen. An heirloom is something that gets passed on in a family from generation to generation. So it becomes a possession that the family share, and they
Hmm.
pass it on from mother to father to son to daughter, and it goes down the generations. If
Hmm.
you are a Spanish speaker, I think it's reliquia or recuerdo de familia. So there you go.
An heirloom. And the word
Heirloom.
heir Heir, H-E-I-R, is the person who will inherit the things when you die. That is your heir. Heir is the male, and heiress, E-S-S, is the female one. So, for example, if you're the only son, you are the heir to your family's or your parents' estate.
Prince
Or if
Charles
you're
is
a
the heir to the
lady, you're the
throne.
heiress. And he's the heir to the throne as well.
And the pronunciation is the same as air, A-I-R, the air that you breathe. Exactly
Yeah,
the
we
same
don't
pronunciation.
say the H. We don't say hair, because then it would be this. This is hair, and that one is air. Without the H.
Graciela has recycled her mum's, not my mum's, her mum's sewing machine,
Great.
Anechi. So to recycle is to renew, to use again,
To use
reuse.
again, yeah. That's good. So is it my
Okay.
turn now? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my
Speaking of
next
hair,
one, right? Well, my
speaking of hair,
next one, I have to say, is a little bit gruesome.
ooh,
Gruesome. Do you know what gruesome is? Gruesome is scary or unpleasant, a little bit like not very pleasant. So the box it's in is quite nice. Can you see this little box? And it's got a little mouse on it. Oops, can you see there the mouse?
Yep, yep.
Now that's because this box was given to me in Spain, and in Spain this is a little mouse, and he has a name. It's Ratoncete Perez. Do you know Ratoncito Perez?
I know the translation.
Right. Now, in English, we don't have a little mouse. In English, we would have a tooth fairy. And that's why this is gruesome, because inside this box, I have 3 little teeth. You see? And they have the names of my daughters on them. Can you see these little wooden boxes? And inside the little wooden box, if I take the top off, is the very gruesome thing, because inside is their first tooth.
Wow.
So it's a bit gruesome, isn't it? Keeping teeth, right?
Well,
but of course, if you're a mother, you want to keep the first tooth that fell out. So I have the first tooth that fell out from each of my daughter's mouths. Yeah. In the little box, which has Ratoncito Perez. So
very
it's
nice.
in England, it's the tooth fairy in England and America. But in Spain, they talk about this little mouse called Perez. And if that is not bad enough, I have another level of gruesomeness. Do you want to go to the next level of gruesomeness?
Let's go to the next level, Lynn.
So I have little pieces of paper that contain the first lock of hair for the very first time when I cut my daughter's hair. With the date when it was cut.
Wow.
And I'm not going to open them because the hair will go everywhere. If you open them like this, you can see the hair. And so I have the very first lock. A lock of hair is a piece of hair. Usually it's in a kind of a little curl, isn't it? A lock of hair.
Yeah.
So it's like just a tiny, it's not like a big long piece of hair. It's just like a tiny little bit curl that has been kept. And I don't know if they do that in Spain, but in England, it's kind of, it's known, isn't it, to keep a lock of the hair of people.
It wasn't popular in my family, but let's ask people who are watching. Is it a common custom in your country? We've got people watching from Argentina and Spain and all over the world, actually. So do you keep the hair and teeth of your children for sentimental reasons? Is that a custom in your country? Let's see what you think.
I think that didn't they in the First World War, in the Second World War, didn't lovers used to give each other a lock of their hair?
Yeah.
Didn't they? Lovers, not children, but lovers. So if you love somebody, you would in a letter they would give you a lock of their hair.
Graciela says yes. Her mum kept. Yeah.
Your first lock of hair. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got mine or my teeth either. No. But I did keep them for my daughters. But I do wonder, like, what will happen to these later? Nobody would buy these on a flea market, would they?
No, because it's a very personal, sentimental
It's a
thing.
very
But
personal, sentimental thing.
when
But at
your
some
daughters have
point,
children, they
they
might do the
might,
same with and then they could pass those on to their
possibly,
children.
possibly.
Yeah.
And of course, you can't say it to children because, of course, these teeth don't really exist.
The mouse has them,
the
or the
tooth
tooth
fairy
fairy.
took them. The children were
Yeah.
rewarded when the tooth fairy took them because there was money that was left under their pillow.
Well, that was my
night.
next question. Did you leave money under the pillow?
Well, we didn't, but the tooth fairy
The
did.
tooth fairy did. Okay.
But actually, my daughters know how it is. They do know that I have these, and they do know why, because I remember drafting a letter with one of my daughters. She was very excited when her tooth fell out, the youngest one, and she was going to put it under her pillow that night. And she said, "But I don't want to give the tooth fairy my tooth. I want to keep it." And I said, "Oh, well, you can't get any money if you don't put the tooth under the pillow." And she said, "But I don't." And I said, "Well, why don't you write a letter?" And so she wrote a letter to Ratoncito Perez, and she put it under the pillow with the tooth. And the next morning, the tooth was still there and the money.
And was there a reply from the Ratoncito Perez?
No.
Okay.
But he left the money and the tooth. And that's why she was able to give me the tooth, so she could put it in the box here. She put it in the box.
She's very clever.
Yeah. There's a solution for everything.
She got both. She got the money and the tooth.
She got the money and the tooth.
What does Francisca say? I kept the tooth of my 3 children. Yeah. Interesting.
There you are. So I'm not the only one. I'm not the only crazy woman with the gruesome things.
Gruesome. Remember that word, gruesome. Now, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they might be useful in the future with DNA analysis. You know, we might be able to extract DNA from our first teeth, and we might, maybe you can put it in a cream to make you young again or something, or to grow more teeth if you need them. Who knows?
Or to grow a replica of the person.
Oh, goodness, no, that wouldn't be horrible.
A clone. You can clone someone from a tooth. Anyway, speaking of things that are old and kept for a long time for sentimental reasons, I collected for many, many, many years until I stopped doing it, a personal diary. Now, this particular diary is dated
tiny writing.
1976.
Wow.
Football diary. So I was 13 at the time, and every day for many, many years, I wrote down exactly what I did. For example, 26th of January 1976, Dad took me to school. Really, really boring things. What I had for lunch. And I've got a whole box here. And there's probably, I don't know, maybe 50 or 40 or 50.
All your diaries. And you used to keep a diary all the time. Until what age, Craig?
Well, here's the thing. Now, before I answer that question, I want to make the difference between a diary, which another way to say that these kind of diaries that are personal, that you write down personal thoughts and things that happen in your life, they're called personal journals. That's another word for a diary. So don't confuse that with what you might say, if you're a Spanish speaker, agenda, which is kind of a scheduling diary, because we might use the same word for both things. So a scheduling diary, you would write down your meetings, your appointments.
That's mine. I have all my classes in here in my diary. Yeah,
but it's not.
But I
don't
write. I don't know. I don't write my thoughts and what I did. I just write my appointments.
Yeah. So I did stop writing a daily personal journal or diary when I was probably about 30, I think, 28 or 30.
Wow. Do
Yeah.
you know, I've never met a man who kept a diary. You're the first man that I've ever met who kept a diary. I've met many women who kept diaries, but never men. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I still keep a diary, but only when I travel. So I have a book.
Wow.
I've got one here actually. There's another small one there. So if I
And they're
go
very
somewhere,
small. They're very
well,
small.
because
Uh-huh.
then it's easy, isn't it? You put it in your
Yeah.
pocket, you put it in your bag, and you can take out a pen when you're having a coffee and you can write
Uh-huh.
down some thoughts. So when I travel, I keep a journal. I keep a travel journal of where I go, how I feel when I'm there, what I see, what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can look back and I can relive the memories.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a lot younger, I did that every day and it got really,
Mm-hmm.
really boring. But now I do it when I travel to this day.
When you travel, wow. I used to, when we were younger, because we're similar ages, and where it was popular. And I remember when I was like 12 and 13 writing diaries, but I was never as strict as you. I think I had like, I've probably got diaries from 2 or 3 years, but they weren't consecutive years. I tried to write a diary maybe 2 or 3 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And I do remember that the last diary I tried to write, I think I was like in my late 20s, and I actually destroyed it. I read it several years later and I thought,
Why
God,
did
this
you
is,
destroy it?
oh, because it was awful. I thought, I don't want to remember that. And I didn't want, and I thought, what is this? This is so negative. And also I was mortified to think that anybody I knew, if anything happened to me, they read that diary. I didn't like it at all. I
Yeah.
didn't like the person I was when I wrote that diary. So I thought, no, that's the beauty of getting old, isn't it? You can forget yourself. You can forget your mistakes. I don't have to have them written down in a diary. So I destroyed it. But I think I still have the diary when I was 13. I mean, and it's like yours is as well. It was extremely boring. It
But
was,
you don't go through phases even now where you feel like it helps to write things down, to gather your thoughts, to put down on
um,
paper how you feel?
well, do you know, Craig? I do, absolutely. But I never did that through a diary. I did that through letter writing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I wrote letters from the age of 18, which is when I left home. I used to write on average 3 to 4 letters every week
Wow.
until I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
And thereafter, I wrote one letter every week until I was 35 when I had my first children.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother, when I was 18, I wrote to 4 different people, 3 close friends and my mother and father. But my mother and father, I wrote to for 15 years in total,
Mm-hmm.
probably. Yeah, 15, 17,
And
15 or
do
17 years.
those letters still exist? Have they been
They
kept?
do. My mother has never thrown them away, and I have
Oh,
never thrown away the letters from my mother.
yeah.
So my
It's like a
history,
diary. Yeah.
it is. My
It's pretty much
history is
the
in
same.
my letters. And one day I always imagine when I'm old and got nothing to do, I'll be sitting in the rocking chair and I'll be reading the
You can write
letters.
your memoirs, you can write your
Of course, but
autobiography.
it's a load of rubbish because I'm sure by the time I have nothing to do, I'll probably have Alzheimer's and I won't know who I am anyway. So
Anna says she
I really
prefers
don't
keeping her
know.
secrets for herself. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. And Diana says that it's not gross but useful because teeth keep stem cells in case you get
Oh,
sick. Oh,
oh,
interesting.
great. So you know
Wow.
that then, yeah? Because I was imagining that could be a future thing, but maybe the technology is already there. Because I know that in unresolved murder cases, they often get hair,
Yeah, DNA.
DNA from hair from the murder case, which happened before they had the DNA technology. And
Hmm.
they have been able to discover who the real murderer was. and stuff with DNA evidence, and they use hair, old hair, but I didn't know that they could use teeth. But in actual fact, stem cell is something else. Stem cells can help you create cells to get better.
Exactly.
So,
Well, your last thing, Lynne, you've put these words attached to it, which makes me very curious. Emotional dependence. Why?
Well, here we go. Well, the last one, that wasn't with the, that's with my last item, isn't it? And my last item, I'll have to turn the camera. There is my last item. You see that piano there? That is my last item that I can't throw away. And why can't I throw my piano away? The piano belongs to me, right? It's not any, it didn't belong to anybody. It's got no sentimental value, right? But the piano represents something else from me, because the piano I bought when I got my first proper job, a job with a decent salary, and I was living in Germany. And I actually had sold my car because I was living in the city and my car kept getting towed away because I could never find a parking space. And so I decided, right, get rid of the car and I'll just use public transport in future. So I sold the car and I had a little bit more money and I had my first job. And I thought, I want to realize a dream, you know? And my dream had always been to play the piano. But as a child, I didn't have music lessons and I never had music lessons. But I always had this kind of dream, you know, like the Martin Luther King, I have a dream.
I have a dream.
My dream was the imagination of me being able to play the piano. So when I think I was 25 or 26 when this all happened. And then I thought, sod it, I'm going to buy a piano. And I went and I bought this piano, brand new, totally crazy. I had to take a loan out to buy it because, of course, I didn't have enough money to be able to afford the piano, because the piano is a really expensive item. But it was just sort of, for me, it was a huge moment because I felt really independent, you know. It was like, finally, this was something I could do for me, only for me. It was before family and kids and responsibilities and everything else. Yeah. And I bought this piano. And then I had to obviously start piano lessons. And then I actually realized that I'm actually not talented playing the piano. However, I have never given up the idea that one day I will play the piano. Now, recently, I haven't been playing the piano at all. And I mean, this has been going for quite a long time now. So I've got this relationship with this piano. It's traveled from Germany. It's traveled to about 6 different flats of mine. It's even traveled from Germany all the way to Spain. And now it's in my flat in Spain. I would never, ever get rid of it. And what I mean with the emotional dependence is I have this relationship with the piano. It's kind of my unfulfilled future. It's like the one thing that I haven't managed to do yet, but I haven't given up the idea that I can do it. One day I will crack it, but I just haven't done it yet.
I'm sure you will. When you've got time and peace of mind and your head's in the right place, I'm sure you'll do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it hasn't been in the right place for a few years now. I got it when I was 25, but I haven't given up the idea that one day it's still something. It's like they say in Spanish, don't they? They say this phrase. I don't know how we would say this in English. Asunto pendiente.
When you have a pending project.
Yeah, you have something, you know, and you get to an age. I mean, I'm not the youngest anymore, and I've managed to do lots of things in my life, but this is one thing that keeps defying me. I can't do it. And so that's my emotional dependence with this. I'm dependent on that because I can't give up this dream. I can't give up this idea. So that's my piano.
And as Anna said, beautiful story. That is a lovely way to finish for today. It was a beautiful story. And we hope you've learned some interesting vocabulary. and obviously improved your listening because you've been listening to us tell our stories. And I hope that's inspired you to continue practicing English. Before we go, I want to share my screen just for a second and also share some news with you, because speaking of improving your English and improving your conversational English, I'm going to start a course on the 10th of May that's conversationally based. So if you are interested in improving your conversational English, it's a 6-week course that starts on May the 10th, lasts for 6 weeks until the 16th of June, and it will be every Tuesday and Thursday. And there will be 12 Zoom speaking classes and also some supplementary material on the course platform. There's a private Facebook group for support. And at the end of the course, we'll have a personalized one-to-one progress discussion, and I'll give you some suggestions on how to continue improving your English. Now, the price of this is going to be, it's reduced by 25% because it's the first time I'm launching this. So it's 117 euros for the 6 weeks. You can find more information on the webpage. And if you're interested, because there are limited places, just put your email address in the space here where it says sign up, and I will be in touch by email. So if you want to join the list, just sign up. That's free, and then I'll be sending you more information by email. Or you could sign up on the podcast webpage, inglespodcast.com, and I'll also be sending out emails with the information there.
That sounds great, Craig. That sounds really exciting.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, conversation, working on pronunciation and speaking, because a lot of people are saying to me, I need to speak more. I need to practice my English by speaking. You're watching this with us, and that's fantastic, but you're not actually speaking. So the idea of this, it will give you a chance to speak.
Yeah.
So I'll put
I think now we have a lot of, I mean, everybody has a lot of possibilities now to do listening and grammar exercises. You can find a lot of things online, can't you? But the speaking is something that you definitely need a teacher for still. So
yeah,
I'm sure that would be useful.
And I'm looking forward to meeting people in the group as well, and having some group discussions and conversations and practicing some English together. So I've put the links in the comments section. If you're interested, go and have a look. And Lynne, if people want one-to-one teaching, I know you're quite full at the moment, but maybe people can go on a waiting list for the future.
Possibly. Yes, I am a bit full at the moment, but yeah, of course, if anybody's interested, please come to putitlikethis.com, and I'll see what I can do and when I'll be able to teach you. So just to remind you, it's personalized one-to-one courses there to help people to achieve specific objectives. So if you've got an urgent need, that's the place to go. Okay. And I think lots of people are saying goodbye now. So goodbye. Thank you very much as well for listening.
Yes.
And him is saying goodbye. Christina, unfortunately, couldn't make it today. She's going to see us another time. That's fine, Christina. You can do us in the catch-up if you want. Find out about all our secrets if you're nosy.
Oh, and before you go out the door, before we go out the door, next week, Lynne will be back in 2 weeks. Is that right, Lynne? You'll be
That's
with us
right. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Next week, I did ask people on YouTube and on Facebook if they'd prefer me solo, like last week, which was a lot of fun, or if you prefer interviews with other teachers. And 75% of people said, Craig, please do interviews with other teachers. So next week is Kevin from deliberatenglish.com. You'll get a chance to hear some American accent because Kevin is based in Chicago, and his focus is business English. So
Oh,
we'll be
wow.
focusing on business English with Kevin next week. Please join us for that. And thank you for being with us this week. So
Sounds
until next
great.
time,
All
we'll
right.
see you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
week. Take care.
Yeah.